If you're looking for just the right flooring, you need choices. But don't you, if you're looking for a Marshall Carpet voiceover, don't you need choices? Anyway, at Marshall Carpet One, is it Marshall Carpet One, or is at Marshall Carpet One, you'll find thousands of choices?
And at Marshall Carpet One, yeah, it's called Marshall Carpet One.
Oh, it's Marshall. Well, you have to look at this to know it's called Marshall Carpet One?
I thought that's what it was, but you keep saying it wrong, so I thought maybe it's written wrong.
No, I know. I'm just, it's like working with Scorsese. Anyway, scoop doo, blabbity blue, scoop dee. Oh yeah!
Yeah, you're here. Those things have already been wiped down. I have wiped, so if you want to do them as well.
Okay. I'm okay.
What?
I just sanitized in the car.
All right, thank you.
It's a good place.
Thanks, man.
I actually like the way you did it.
I'm still
I
figuring
like
it
the
out.
TV. I like that. Is that a fireplace? Just a fireplace may not be great if you light it.
You don't want even any black beans? I have black beans.
And rice?
I don't have rice, but I have beans if you want them.
I don't want beans. You're just offering me beans? Thanks. I don't know if I want.
I'll leave. And if you want
Thank
them, let me know. I'll
Thank you.
I got a fork.
I love that you framed how to hook up your Nintendo.
Isn't that cool?
Tape. I think that's amazing. What a brilliant idea. I would do a whole like wall. No, of just all instructions. IKEA instructions.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
How-tos.
All the instructions of what I tell people when they come to my house.
Just instructions.
Let me make sure this is good.
You know, when people don't know how to do something, you just go, hey, the writing's on the wall. How long you been out here, Rick?
Los Angeles?
Yeah.
2008.
Wow. You've done well. Pretty fast.
Yeah? It doesn't seem that fast.
It doesn't?
Still don't have a house.
But you have a career. I don't give a shit about
Maybe.
houses. You
I'll
could
live in
have
a
a
marsh.
house. Is it worth it for you to pay rent here instead of a mortgage someplace else?
I've been having that conversation with myself and my dad many times. I'm a big investor into things. I actually saw some similarities in the two of us, just on a smaller scale for me. And I don't want to take my money out of the things that I'm in right now and put it into real estate. But I go back and forth all the time about that.
What are you in Bitcoin and shit like that?
In cryptocurrencies, a lot of collectibles.
NFTs?
A little bit, but no. How are we level-wise?
You decide. This is your podcast.
Yeah, I'm a little loud.
But people can say, I saw you on Take Your Shoes Off and you were quiet.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't me, it was your dial.
But investments, real estate is a good one.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. It's not only the investment that you would have in the real estate, but right away you have the tax write-off. So that adds to the value of whatever your investments are throwing off. Are you getting 10%, 15% on your investments?
Yeah.
But I would imagine that for what you can put down on a house.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I'm telling you, it's just the safest.
I invested, I told you, I don't know if we talked about this during mine, but I'm so freaked out about everything. Is that what you were telling me to look forward to?
It'll happen 6 times.
Really?
Yeah.
So these automatically could possibly turn off every 4 minutes?
So they don't shoot in 4K.
Right.
They only shoot in 4K for a small section of time.
But you know what? I'm not here in 4K, so it doesn't matter.
You will be.
Really? Wow.
I'll just put K's on his face.
4 of them.
Yeah.
Right. Well, don't ever put
never,
3.
Not 3.
Not 3.
Nope. 2 or 4.
2 or 4. KK.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. K. And so I don't know if we've already begun, but investments. From the time I had, did I tell you this? I came out here and then I did a couple of jobs and I had like $5,200 in the bank, which was huge. You know, for comedy, I had $5,200 in the bank. And I took the $5,000, this is like in 1977 and 1978, and I took the $5,000 and I bought a term deposit for 10 years, and that was for 12%.
I've never heard of a term deposit.
Oh, it's like a CD, like a certificate of, you can buy like a bond maybe.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think they even have them anymore.
Do me a favor, if you're comfortable bringing this closer to you, if not, then angle it.
Okay. I'm sure everybody heard me. Did you leave in the comments below if you didn't hear me?
We heard you.
But we have. I think a lot of your following are lip readers anyway.
But audio only. There's some audio only.
Oh, the blind?
Not exclusively.
You know what I love about Noom is no food is off limits. You can keep eating the foods you love while maintaining a healthy balance.
Annabella, I hate to cut you off.
That's not my name.
I called you by the wrong cousin.
Listen, you can call me whatever you want. The most important thing is you can sign up for your trial to get psychology-based support and motivation to reach your goals at noom.com/TYSO.
Danny. That's Noom. NOOM.com/TYSO to sign up for your trial today. If there's anything that our family understands, it's that therapy isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity.
Absolutely. We just want an objective third party to be able to talk about everything.
Listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/TYSO. Danny.
There's nothing even in there. What are you doing?
Anyway, I had $5,200 in the bank, and I invested. It doesn't matter what it was. $5,000 was going to be held for 10 years
For 12%.
For 12%. So I was guaranteed, because I never think anything is a guarantee.
Yeah, $750. Oh, that's 15%, not even.
Right. We don't have to do the math, but people, if you want to do the math, you can do it.
Yeah, well, that's actually, you know what? Why don't we just sit here for like 20 seconds, give them an opportunity to do it real quick, and then leave a comment once you get it. So if you have to check your phone or something, you can now. All right, if you guys got the answer 600, that's 600, you are correct. If not, skip 10 minutes and we'll explain how. Go ahead.
Thank you. So all I had left was $200 in the bank, and my wife was really upset with me. But I said I always have to have that guarantee. So I've always been crazy like that with money, and especially money that I have achieved throughout my show business career, because show business is an illusion.
I
started it on a dare at a comedy club, and then I came out here and I got jobs, and then people were flying me out to do like talk shows, and I had never done talk shows. I wasn't on television.
What was the moment between you doing stand-up to getting that opportunity to do talk shows? What was the thing that people wanted you from? Just because you were a comedian now?
No, I did a couple of. I was playing at a club called Yuck Yucks in Toronto, and for me,
shout out to Yuck Yucks. We'll put the Instagram handle up here.
I didn't hear what you said.
shout out to Yuck Yucks. We'll put their Instagram handle up here, letting them know that if people want to find Yuck Yucks.
Is there? Can they see that on the screen now?
Yeah.
How come I can't? Then I'm on this.
You're not 4K.
Oh. So anyway, I was, and for me, stand up was therapy. And I had no aspirations to be in show business or to make a living or in this business, or to even be famous. I had no aspiration.
Right, in this business. To say like I had no aspiration to make a living in general would be like.
No, I wanted money is great fuel for me. But I show business is nothing to do with, like you were a spawn of carpet, so was I. My family's not in carpet. I started my own carpet business. I wasn't in Marshall's.
We'll be right back with a word from our sponsors.
If you're looking for just the right flooring, you need choices. But if you're looking for a Marshall carpet voiceover, don't you need choices? Anyway, at Marshall Carpet One, is it Marshall Carpet One, or is at Marshall Carpet One, you'll find thousands of choices?
It's called Marshall Carpet One.
Oh, it's Marshall. Well, you had to look at this to know it's called Marshall Carpet One?
I thought that's what it was, but you keep saying it wrong, so I thought maybe it's written wrong.
Well, I don't know Marshall Carpet, so I could have been, and at Marshall Carpet One, you'll find thousands of choices.
Okay, so mark that. I want to come back in that moment, but I still do need the voiceover.
I know. It's like working with Scorsese. Anyway, and at Marshall Carpet One, you'll find thousands of choices. You're giggling over my voiceover.
They're isolated tracks. I'm
telling you, they're going to hear the laughter.
Start
in my
from the top.
voice. Oh. If you're looking for just the right flooring,
You're yelling.
If you're looking, how How should I present this?
The way you're asked, you should feel this, right?
Yeah.
Hey, before you do this, I want to let you know that if you're looking for just the right flooring, you need choices. And at Marshall Carpet One and Rug Gallery, we got thousands of choices from hardwood, linoleum, vinyl, rugs, these types of things. So listen, make the right choice and visit Marshall Carpet One and Rug Gallery today.
And we promise with
more than
50
years of family-owned business, we've got you covered. And you could, if you want, you could say, we've got you covered, or you could go right and like, we've got you covered.
Well, you don't have an echo machine. Okay, I'll do it.
All right.
If you're looking for just the right flooring, you need choices. And at Marshall's Carpet One.
Marshall.
I'm taking the S from the sh sound.
Of course.
And I'm putting it at the end. I was doing Marshall's.
Must be the OCD. You're trying to control all the S's.
You're right. And at Marshall Carpet One, you'll find thousands of choices, including carpet, hardwood, rugs, and luxury vinyl. So make the right choice and visit Marshall Carpet One and Rug Gallery. And we promise, with more than 50 years as a family-owned business, we've got you covered. And we're back. This is my first time on Take Your Shoes Off, so I'm not.
That's perfect.
Okay. So I was in the carpet business, and it wasn't family owned, it was me owned. But I'm a family.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a family then. I made a family later. I was just making money selling carpet and flooring,
Rugs.
and hardwood.
I understand you make your kids, but did you make your wife? You said you made a family later.
I made it with, and then I made them.
So you're doing rugs in Toronto. You're doing your thing. You were a salesman.
No, I started in a warehouse. I got thrown out of school. I got thrown out of 3 different high schools. I don't have a GED.
You never got your GED?
No. Is there a possibility that I can get one on this show?
I got a surprise for you.
Oh, wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, Franz Hordrick.
Anyway, so I had nothing, so I was really depressed.
Why'd you get kicked out of school?
I've talked about it a lot on a lot of.
Give me a soundbite, because I was kicked out of school.
Well, on one school was I was trying to get I grew up in Toronto, and which is got weather like Cleveland, and part of the high school curriculum in gym was swimming, and I wanted to get out of swimming because swimming was the last class of the day.
All right, you did some prank.
What?
Go ahead.
Oh, you're trying to.
I thought I heard something about you with the
threw
pool.
A chocolate bar in the pool. Because I wanted it to look like somebody took a crap in the pool and they would close the pool and I didn't have to go I wasn't trying to be funny.
Sure.
I was trying to.
Caddyshack.
Who I thought took it from me. Why are you laughing at that?
How would they have known that story then?
Because who wrote that?
Harold Ramis?
Well, a lot of Canadians were part of it, and I was. If you look in 1979, if you go to the YouTube and you
Harold Ramis directed it. Actually, I don't think he wrote it. Maybe he
No,
co-wrote
he
it. He
didn't.
co-wrote it with Bill Murray's brother, I think.
and some Canadians
And Doug Kinney.
But some Canadians. Anyway, the thing was, I had already talked about it years earlier on Make Me Laugh, many times on TV.
Right.
I did.
So by the time Caddyshack came out, you have already been on Make Me Laugh telling the story.
I've told the story. I told the story of Merv Griffin. I told the story of Mike Douglas. I told the story in a lot of places. So I threw the chocolate bar in the pool, and then
That's a kick out?
No. So what happened was they didn't know it was me. And then there was this, the pool, there was an announcement made that the pool would be closed. And if anybody has any information, there'll be no repercussions about who might have defiled the pool, let us know. And lo and behold, maybe 400 people showed up at the pool area to see what they were talking. I didn't have any friends or anything, but I showed up to see the crowd because it was funny to see that. And I don't think of ramifications. And then everybody was looking and laughing and pointing. And it just hit me. I dived in and came up with it in my mouth, which didn't win me any friends. But they thought there was a lot of different, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I had done a lot of other things.
Mm-hmm.
many, hired a company to put an addition onto the library.
That one I knew.
Yeah.
You pretended you were faculty.
Nope.
How'd you hire them?
I called and I said, I find that fascinating that if you look like and act like you should be doing what you're doing, people don't
ask questions.
They don't ask. I used to show my friends that we used to go to a mall. Toronto had one of the first indoor malls in North America. It was called Yorkdale.
Shout out to Yorkdale for the Instagram handle up here.
Is this blocking anything? The Chiron at Yorkdale?
Put it up real quick.
Or do I need to sit up above it, or
I'll make it.
am I looking at it?
If you want to, it's gone now.
Oh.
But I like to. I'm a big sucker for credit.
The fact that she's broadcasting on an American network is amazing, and she can communicate.
We'll put her Instagram handle up here.
Pardon me?
It's inspiring, Howie. What you just said to me is very, very inspiring. And I have another poem. Mike, and just remember, poems do not have to rhyme. They just don't. It's not a law.
In fact, actually, the real inspiration is I hate when people don't give credit. Sucks about your duty story, by the way. So I make sure to give credit wherever I can.
I'm not saying, listen, I don't want to get, I'm going to get so much shit right now from them, but I'm not saying they stole it. I'm just saying I did it before for years.
You pooped in a pool before it was cool.
Right, and came up with it in my mouth before. Maybe nobody saw me. With comedy, people can think of the same thing. I'm just saying many years, I was telling you my story. I wasn't going to bring up Caddyshack, and you said,
I did it. You're not accusing them of anything. You're saying an honest thought you had. I made the connection.
But I will say that you could have heard a story about a guy throwing a chocolate bar in a pool and coming up with it in his mouth. You could have heard that 2 or 3 years earlier because I have tape of that.
Howie?
Are you calling me?
Howie, I see a lot of similar things in you since I've met you that are much more zoomed in. Similar, to me, that are much more specific than before I met you, where I'm like, yeah, we both have OCD. And there are things that I didn't necessarily associate with OCD that you seem to have, that I have, which is, and forgive me if I'm projecting, I'm speaking for myself and it's what I'm noticing. At least when you were younger, you lacked a lot of awareness.
Well, another issue that I have is ADHD, which I was diagnosed with later. And the big part of that is action without ramifications. I don't think of, I'll do something. I can't tell you how many times in the course of a day I'll go, why the fuck did I do it? Why the fuck did I do that? Why the fuck did I do that? And I just do it. And that's what happens.
But there's a reason you're doing it, whether
really?
It's conscious or not. There's a reason. When you jump in the pool, you're looking for a reaction. You're looking for laughs. You're looking to be included. You're looking to control the reason you're not included. You're looking for something. You might not be conscious of it, but it's not a
I'll tell you what
coincidence
it is.
you're a comedian.
I just think, I'll tell you, I know what my mindset is. My mindset is everybody in this room thinks that's a piece of shit. I know it's not a piece of shit. Watch this. And I dive in and come up with it in my mouth with no thought that, because you got to realize in high school, you're 16, 15 years old. At this time, I was about 15, 16 years old. This doesn't win you. Maybe it does today, but in the 70s, it didn't win me any friends. In fact, every girl in the school thought I was the most disgusting person they'd ever met because of that. Oh, that's so gross, or you're so immature, or...
Did you have a reputation at that point before that you were OCD and clean or something?
No, I never shared that with anybody. I come from a world where mental health was a stigma. I'm old. I'm going to be 66 this year. So there was
birthday.
For this year?
Well,
this month?
Yeah.
When does this air?
I don't know. It'll probably air after Thanksgiving, though, so it'll probably be December.
Oh, okay. Can I say hi to somebody?
I don't love when guests do that on the podcast. You can, but...
You can cut it out.
Yeah, I might cut this out, but go ahead.
No, because I know that when this airs, I'm going to watch it. So I just want to...
Yeah, I'll probably bleep this, but go ahead.
Hi. I just like acknowledging myself.
That's actually really sweet.
I know. Who else is going to do that if I don't do it? I watch your podcast all the time. Nobody's acknowledged me. I watch a lot of podcasts. Nobody ever
You've been on
says-
this podcast twice.
I have?
Yeah.
Oh, in a clip. Or people have mentioned. But I have not really been here.
No. You haven't been here, but we've cut to clips of you. And then you're dancing, she's grinding on you, and then you got a boner. Okay. Thank you. On AGT.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and you can cut out me saying hi to myself.
Well,
Just the
we
thought
bleep
that.
it.
What do you mean you bleep my name or just a hi part?
To who you saying hello to.
Even if it's me?
Yeah, because then people come on and they take advantage. They're saying hi to people that it's like, listen, I got advertisers. Which actually reminds me.
Whew, man, I just took a huge shit. Whoa, what's this? Wow, this is really cute. Should I try it on? I'll try it, for size. So cute. I think that this fits. It's a small because I'm skinny. I'm Kevin Bacon's daughter, and I take huge shits.
Okay, great. So I don't want to make a habit of letting people say hi. I might leave it in. I'll talk to the people I work with. Yeah, I don't think it. Yeah, no, I'm going to bleep it. We already bleeped it. It's too late. Say hello. Do it again. I'll keep it in. But anybody who's watching who's a future guest, this is not something that we're doing.
What if everybody just said hello to me?
There's going to be a new rule on this podcast. People could only say hello to people that are either in the room or Howie Mandel. So go ahead, say your hello.
Hey, Howie.
Oh, I forgot. I wanted to wear I have a JCC.
Do you think people know we're Jews?
Sometimes when somebody asks me if I'm Jewish, I say thank you. Like, just to not be just forced down people's throat as this Jew, to think that I could be something else. I think that's awesome. Thank you.
That's wonderful.
But yeah, you're Jewish. People know you as Jewish already, though. It's kind of...
I don't know that they know me as Jewish. I always say I'm Jewish, but I don't know like that people don't. That's not the lead. That's not the like. People don't go, oh, it's Jew Howie.
No, I know, but people don't go, it's Jew Rabbi either.
No, I
Bleep
know.
that last name.
I used to walk around with my dick out, so people knew.
Uncross your legs for a second.
I've got all the papers. You're handing me. I'm leaving. I have so much stuff. This is the script from the Marshall's ad, and I have a little thing of beans. I know that I'm going to leave today, and I'm going to have a little thing of beans and some crushed up paper, and they're going to go, oh my God, you've had the Rick Glassman experience. They're gonna know that.
My mother said, always bring a gift for a housewarming party, and make sure you leave your guests with beans and a piece of paper.
But beans are soothing. This is dangerous.
Here, snap though to get rid of your penis, and then give me that. Throw that over here.
Okay. Wow, lot of stuff going on. Did
Yeah.
we finish any story?
No.
You asked me why I left school, and then I was forced to go get a job. I was the only kid my age. All my friends went on to become successful. They went to law school. In fact, my best friend at the time, he went to law school, graduated, came out here, became my lawyer. I was his first client. Yeah. And then he became a manager, and I was his first client. And now he has one of the biggest production companies.
What's the production company?
Do you know what 3 Arts is?
Of course, shout out to 3 Arts, Prince Green Hill here. I used to be with 3 Arts.
Yeah, Michael Rotenberg.
Jewish.
How do you know?
You could tell.
We grew up together. We grew up together we've known each other since we were 15. Anyway, which is like 50 years, 51 years. So anyway, I'm going to answer the first question,
Sure.
and then
Sure.
Could you, I don't know if you have to snap for this, but maybe there's a Venn diagram that you can have or something that could track where I've been.
Yeah, well, Venn diagram is generally, could be more, but at least it's 2 circles with an overlap. So one circle will be not wanting to be in, what are the 2 circles?
This is me, and I can't focus, and I'm an undiagnosed ADHD, OCD. I don't know how this podcast works. Can I buy a vowel?
What do you need? Yes.
I'd like to buy a U.
Do we have a U?
Whoa.
That's,
So if I open this right now, you'd be mad.
what to do that?
Right. I don't want to.
It's not.
Do you think I will?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm really not. I'm so sorry.
But is it kind of also? You ever watch the stand up on AGC?
No.
Okay. First of all, this isn't a blanketed statement. We're both very hyperactive people. Kind of send you a George. So would you make up whatever that kind of stuff?
Okay.
This is a blanketed statement. Okay. You see what I'm doing here?
Yeah.
That most of the time you have to put that stuff in post, but the fact that it was right here, that freaked me. How do you do that?
Yeah. 4K.
Wow.
Howie, I want to make sure that we do get to this because we're playing and I'm trying to build stuff, but I'm also now feeling with the 2 of us, we are going a little all over the place.
Too much. All right, so let me get back. Let me get back on track. I'll tell you how I got into the car. So I had to get a job, and I was working in a carpet warehouse, and I met every week the people from the carpet manufacturers would come in and show the management the different samples and the new things, and then they would take it. And then one time a salesman was not showing up, so I took it was a busy Saturday. They said, just help the customer until the salesman gets there. And I found that I looked like I was 15 years old. I was 15. But I looked like a little kid, and I just told them, I go, can I help you? They go, do you have a salesman? I go, it's my dad's place. I don't know. I was playing you. I was playing my first part I had was I played Howie Mandel as Rick Glassman. Anyway, I sold the carpet, and I thought that was easy. And then I made friends with the representatives who were selling carpet, and I said, because I can go door to door. And I made a deal with the carpet companies that they would give me the sample pads. And then I made a deal with the finance companies because people would buy it for a certain amount a month. Right. Not everybody paid. And then I made a deal with my mom that I could use her car to deliver whatever I sold. So Did you
have a brick and mortar store, or you were just doing?
Eventually, it ended up I had 2 locations and about 12 salesmen.
Howie, I did door-to-door sales as a kid for so many different things. And I was kicked out of school, and I didn't really have friends, and I have extreme OCD.
It's like looking in the mirror. I've done all that before.
What?
This path that you're on.
Am I going to host America's Got Talent?
I think I don't.
But I'm not going to take one of the judges' spots.
Oh, you're right. You're right. So, and then I was just a mess, but I started making money and doing other things. And I came down, and when I found Yuck Yucks, I went to Yuck Yucks because I'm not, unlike you, I see you do have a basketball. So you probably have, you probably do something athletic. Mm-hmm. I don't. So I don't have any acumen for sports.
That's why I would be a host.
I don't dance, and disco was really big in the mid-'70s, and I don't dance, and I don't drink, and I don't play cards. So there was nothing. I didn't have friends, and I didn't have any skill set so that I could join other people who didn't have friends. And Yuck Yucks had opened up. You saw the Chiron before. And somebody said, you want to go to the club? And I went to I'd never been to a comedy club. And I saw the comedy club, and the person that was hosting the club, Mark Breslin, who owns it, you don't have to. Well, I mean, he'll like that. Okay. He said, does anybody want to get up and try? We have on Mondays at midnight. And somebody that I was sitting with, and you should go up. And I said, okay. Like I always.
And you did that's the glove story.
Yeah. So because I had the glove because it was just about going to public bathrooms.
It's so unrelated, but it's really just how many connections I'm seeing. I used to, I didn't know this bit of yours, parallel thought. I also never did it on stage. But I would have to go to doctors I would go to doctors a fair amount. And one or both of my parents would come with me, and I was in waiting rooms, and you're trying to make people laugh or be silly or distract yourself. And I used to take the glove and put it over my head and blow it up with my nose, and I would make my dad laugh. I would call myself Dr. Hand. To this day, my dad still goes, Dr. Hand, making fun of that. And then by the time the doctor would come in, it's this little secret with us. But there's just so many, has nothing to do with ADHD or OCD. I mean, at least not on my end. But that's just so weird. Rug stores, the glove on the hand, kicked out of school, Jews. There's so many things.
Do you believe in cloning?
Do I believe in it, like morally, or the possibility?
No, do you think we were cloned?
No.
You're like maybe the second coming of me.
Oh, interesting. Oddly, because you were playing a version of me.
I think you're a version of me. It's back to the Caddyshack thing again. See, you were blowing up gloves. You didn't know I blew up gloves.
Yeah, I think they took it from you.
You took it from me?
No, I think...
Where'd you get the glove idea from?
First base. Howie, listen, man. I know I'm all over the place here,
okay.
and I want to be able to capitalize because you're not here much, and every now and then.
Ever before.
But I do have so many questions for you.
Go ahead. But I was finishing a story.
Yeah, okay. You're okay in time?
Yeah. So my story was that I went to I had a business. I came out here, and because of Yuck Yucks, I had met other comics, like Jay Leno and Mike Binder. Do you know who Mike Binder is? A great director, great writer, director. He did Inside the Mind of a Married Man. He did Upside of Anger, which I think nominated for an Academy Award with Joan Allen.
I'm not hip.
He was a comic, and he got me on at the Comedy Store, and I thought it was a great story to tell about my vacation. No desire to be a Comedy Store regular. I went up, and there was a producer.
How long were you doing this already? Comedy by that point?
Months. And I went up, and a guy by the name of George Foster was in the audience, and he had a comedy game show called Make Me Laugh. Uh-huh. And he said, do you want to do TV? And I thought, this is such bullshit Hollywood stuff. And I said, yeah. And the first time I ever walked on a set, it was at KTLA here in Hollywood. And I walked on the next day, and he said, try to make my secretary laugh. And I tried the same way as I was always. I didn't have anything. It was like, okay, all right, okay, like just nervousness. And he said, that's great. And we're taping tomorrow. And they taped 5 shows in the day. And at that time, he said, you get scale. I didn't know what scale was, but scale was like $200 a show. I taped 5 shows in one day. He gave me $1,000 for acting like a fucking idiot, and I went home. And then the phone started ringing, Merv Griffin, Mike Douglas. And every time I flew in, they would give me scale. For $250, I just had to be on the Mike Douglas show for 5 minutes.
And you were flying in for work?
Just to do Merv Griffin and Mike Douglas. These were, these were iconic names in, I wasn't chasing this. And these were national.
What are you doing when you go back home? Are you going back to rug sales?
Lighting. I got into lighting with my father and rugs. I was always looking for more and more.
Roxbury.
Pardon me?
Night at the Roxbury. That's the lighting store they did too. I'm just making associations. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. No, I sold on the phone. My dad had one of those phone rooms, where and I was his partner on that. Where people sold office supplies. The way they sell copy ink now, we were selling fluorescent lights also.
Why ink? Is ink? They don't.
I think that if you have an office, there's office supply companies that hit you up on the phone. I don't know if they do that anymore. I remember the pitch
for ink in particular.
For the copy machine.
Huh.
Not for your pen.
Listen, I'm loving talking to Howie, but something I love even more than talking to Howie, no disrespect, is feeling good.
Yeah, we all want to feel good, especially after this last year. I think it's safe to say I'm speaking for everyone when I say that.
Well, let's see if you're speaking for Betty.
Hi, darling. How are you?
Betty, would you agree with cousin Miranda's assessment that because of this past year has been so difficult, a lot of people's eating habits have been a bit unbalanced?
Are you talking about Noom?
She got it.
Yeah. And how good they are with helping you have a more balanced approach to eating that's not really fatty and weird and restrictive and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
And what I love about Noom especially is a lot of other plans, there's this pressure to label foods as good or bad.
Danny, I'm noticing you're making a healthy choice by eating your water. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
Go do it in the kitchen, huh, bud?
Sorry.
You don't need rules to lose weight, just the knowledge and wisdom to empower you to build smarter, more sustainable habits. What goals have you been working towards that Noom has helped you with?
What's the psychology behind my food habits? The cool thing is with Noom, no food is off limits.
It's an easy app to get used to. All you need is a 10-minute daily check-in.
And the great thing is there's no fear of ruining the whole program with one off day. There's always great ways to get back on track.
Start building better habits with healthier, long-term results.
Sign up for your trial at noom.com/TYSO.
That's NOOM.com/TYSO. Rick, I need some more ice. I know you don't want me to put my hands in your freezer.
This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy.
Check out betterhelp.com/TYSO for 10% off your first month. Miranda, you're an avid user of therapy, are you not?
I am. I really believe in it. It's really helped me.
Dan LeBoom, you?
Yeah, I am.
You needed it pretty bad for a while, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the whole family is a little, could be better, but Danny had a rough go.
Extra mashugana.
Yeah.
Listen, you go to one Thanksgiving dinner at our family's house, you need lots of online therapy.
Yeah, but I'm talking about Danny's crippling depression, and I don't want to make a joke out of it, but also it's a comedy podcast. So, Danny, remember when you were really, really, really horribly depressed?
I do.
Danny, we don't have to use any of that, but are you comfortable with that stuff?
I don't care.
Because we bring this closer to you.
This I'm not comfortable with. This is the microphone.
Okay. But jokes aside, Danny, what is one thing that therapy has helped you with?
I mean, I would say that therapy, whatever problems that I thought I had in my life that I thought were only unique to me and really bothered me, I would say that therapy put the perspective out there that there are probably a lot of other people, even people that I'm close with in my own family that I don't know that are also have gone through or are going through those types of problems. And that comfort has helped me gain more perspective on some of the things that would make me feel sad.
BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your online therapist.
So you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to.
It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you could start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours.
Unload the stressors and get some unbiased feedback. You'd be pretty surprised at what you can gain from it.
See if it's for you. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Take Your Shoes Off listeners get 10% off the first month by visiting betterhelp.com/TYSO.
That's BETTERHELP.com/TYSO for 10% off your first month.
Cheers, Betty.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And cheers, Danny. And cheers to you, TYSO listeners. Please enjoy the rest of this episode with Howie Mandel. My name's Rick Glassman. This is Miranda.
Not Annabella.
That's Danny. Not Ari. This is Betty. Not any other girl. And not that there's anything wrong with other girls. Okay.
Anyway, and then I get this call from Hollywood. Merv Griffin, they'll pay for a ticket and come down and they'll give you a scale. And I thought, they're paying me $200 for 5 minutes. If I live down here full time, can you imagine the money?
Here's a stupid question. How do they get your phone number? Just through the mutual friend?
Through the television show, through Make Me Laugh.
Oh, right. And they like it.
They would call me at home. I was living at home with my parents.
Right.
They would call. My mom would go, Howie, somebody that says they're from Merv Griffin is on the phone. Howie, the Mike Douglas show is on the phone.
Does your mom watch this stuff? Your parents fans of comedy, Merv Griffin?
My parents are huge fans of comedy. That's how I got into comedy. That's why I am, I've talked about this before. My parents had comedy albums and comedy. That was my best place. I do have a really good childhood. My parents are very supportive and loving. I lost my father in 1989, and my mom now is at late stage Alzheimer's and doesn't know who I am anymore. But ultimately, the thing I remember is every night the Tonight Show was on, and they loved to stay up and watch the comic, and the Ed Sullivan Show, it was always the comic, and I remember being 3 or 4 years old, and I'd hear the laughter in the other room, and I'd want to, as a little kid, I'd even get out of bed and go run in and go, because it was like it felt like there was a party there, and they'd be seeing a stand-up comic on TV, and I wouldn't understand what the fuck they were talking about, if the guy was making mother-in-law jokes.
You remember being 4?
I do. I even remember being in the crib. I remember, and I've before my mother had Alzheimer's, I was able to, I tell her, you took me to a pool once. I couldn't talk. You had me on a floaty, and I was crying, and you had to take me out of the pool. And she remembers that. I remember even being an infant. I got a crazy memory, which is not. it doesn't really serve me well because I would like to forget some shit. But anyway,
What was I talking about?
No, I know what I was talking about.
I was kidding.
I wanted to be part of the party, but I'd never understood what these jokes were. I didn't even understand what jokes were.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing that I remember, and this kind of shaped everything I do, was watching on a Sunday night. My parents were watching Candid Camera, and with Alan Funt, and it was a big show then. Are you familiar? That's before Punk'd, before all these shows. And there was a nice old man, Alan Funt, who was the host of the show, and he would explain. He said, I always talk about this one prank because this is the one I remember. He explained to us. He said, "Okay, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to pretend I'm the boss in this office, and I'm going to hire, and they're just the real people. I'm going to hire secretaries, and I'm going to tell them they have to answer the phone. Whenever the phone rings, you cannot miss this call. And I'm going out for lunch, but you can't even miss one call and take a message." That's what he explained to us. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie a rope to the leg of the desk. And when the phone rings, when she goes to reach for the phone, there's somebody on the other side of that wall. It's going to pull the rope. The desk's going to go away, and we're going to see how she reacts. And I remember just turning to my parents, and we were just all that anticipation and that excitement that you have at a surprise party when you go, everybody's high. She's coming up the driveway. She's coming up the driveway, and it's going to be exciting and it's fun. And I was in on it. I was 4. They were parents, and I'm going, fuck, this is amazing. And then the first girl sits down and the phone rings. She goes to reach it. They pull the cord. The desk goes away. She goes, ah! And I was laughing, the most guttural, and my parents were laughing. And from that moment on, I've tried to and continue to try to recapture that.
That's why you're a prankster.
Well, yeah, yes is the answer. But more importantly, I just want to, it wasn't about making other people laugh. It's about making me laugh. So I didn't have the wherewithal or even the insight because I had no desire to be in show business or to do a show. I wanted to always do stuff like that, but I was too stupid to even say to a friend, "Hey, Rick, look at this.
Right.
I'm going to walk up to that guy and I'm going to do this."
To let people in on it.
Right, which is the purpose. So I would just do them, like whether I dived into the pool to do it and nobody even knew. It's not a joke if you don't tell anybody. You just look like an idiot. Or the first question at this thing where we talked about I didn't say I was part of the faculty. I thought it was interesting just to say, "Hi, my name's Howie Mandel." They didn't even question the fact that I sounded like a little girl with a boy's name. I'm Howie Mandel. We're thinking of I saw in the Yellow Pages, a construction company, we want to add another 25 feet onto the west wall of the library. Could you come out and give us an estimate? And the guy went, "Okay." I said, "Could you do it between 3 and 3:40? And the guy said, "Okay."
Why?
And
School ends then so you could show up?
No, so that's when I was in math class. So in math class, everybody's just doing their work. I'm looking out the window at this guy with a tape measure and a clipboard. I didn't tell anybody I called that guy. But for me alone, just giggling, I see the vice principal go out and talk to him, and then I can see him gesticulating, and he's like, "What the fuck is going on?" I see him leave. I see the construction guy leave, and then I hear over the PA system, "Will Howard Mandel please come down to the principal's office?" And I just went down without any thought. And he goes, "Did you hire a company to put an addition onto the library?" And I said, No. And he goes, "What do you mean, no?" I said, "Well, I was getting estimates. I have not."
Howie, there's a reason that you gave your real name.
Always.
What I'm saying is for you to say that it's just for you, I don't buy.
Why? Who knew? Who was I sharing it with?
The principal who got the name Howie Mandel. If it was just for you and you didn't care or want other people to know, you would have given a fake name. I really connect to what you're saying about doing things to make myself laugh.
Right.
You actually saw the Just for Laughs clip where I come out and I do the wrong intro and blah, blah, blah. I still think that could be funny. It was my first time doing it. It wasn't ready, but the structure works. But the intention behind it was, and I've talked about this on this podcast.
Never get to the act.
No, I don't mean the intention of the joke itself. I mean, my intention for doing this type of thing was, this isn't for the people in the audience. For this to work well, the people in the audience should not get it. This is for the people at home watching with the header, comedian gives host wrong intro. Now they're in on it, right? For better or worse, watching it on YouTube, they're in on it more than the audience.
Well, you see, there's the difference between you and me. And this is a problem that I have even in my relationships, because I really don't care if you get it.
Let me flush this
Even
out.
Even the people at home.
Let me flush this out. Me as a comedian growing, learned you have to let people in on it. So, okay, I'll let the people on YouTube be in on it. That was like a growth in my thought, like of trying to get people to understand my jokes the way I see them. But before that, I would always have this mindset of, like you, maybe it's a different reason, but the same outcome. Anything I do, any pranks I do, any jokes that I do with people that nobody knows about, it's funny to me because I always picture, like, imagine somebody watching this. Nobody's watching it. I'm watching it. But imagine somebody watching it. It's funny, right? Does that make sense?
Well, you're making sense, but I got to tell you, it's not mindset. Not my mindset.
Okay.
Here's my mindset. If you equate what we do to art,
Yeah.
I feel that every moment,
Which I do.
okay, and I do too, but my art is my art. I don't need to sell my art.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not a painter, but if I was a painter, if you can equate painting to what I do comedically, if I can't, my real, not a job like AGT and not a job like Deal or No
I
Deal,
understand.
my comedy.
Yeah.
If I could be in a studio.
I like the differentiation, by the way, and I understand.
Well, one's a job and one
Yeah.
is my art. It's kind of like if you look at Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey is an amazing painter. He doesn't, show his art and sell his art. He just likes expressing himself in his art. He just likes expressing himself in his art. By the same token, I love doing my comedy for me and shading it. And what works in part of the palette is a whole mass kind of not getting it. It kind of ruins it for me when they're laughing at it and going, it's a joke. If I can fool the entire world without anybody getting it, I know that you can't make a living doing that, but that's my, when I tweet something or if I do something on TikTok or if I do the odd little moment on TV that people are, they have the total wrong idea. If I read the comments and the comments, you just didn't get it.
Yeah.
That to me is gold.
It's semantics. I understand, and I am that. However, I don't believe that's all there is to it, because you wouldn't have given your name Howie Mandel, and you wouldn't be telling me this publicly now.
Why not?
Because there's a pride that you take in people not knowing, but by definition, if you didn't want them to know, you would never reveal it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it's over. Now the telling of a story is a total different art form than when I did it. When I did it,
but don't you still do it?
Yeah, but what I enjoy, and the reason I enjoy pranking, what I enjoy, and I don't think it's mean, but if I can control a situation and make it awkward, first of all, I'm very comfortable in awkward. I live. Are you getting messages now? Is it for me? I'm busy doing. Take your shoes off. If that's for me.
It wasn't for you.
Oh, I'm still busy doing. Take your shoes off.
Okay.
I'm just saying I love my favorite. If I got to do my pure sensibility, I would not make $1, but I'd be happy. But I also enjoy. I'm a big mix of creativity and entrepreneurial aspirations. So I love making a living. I like. I find it fascinating that and love that people know who I am. I find that an incredible honor because there is so much out there that people, the fact that somebody even knows who I am or knows my name is amazing. But because there's 600 choices, there's all the channels, there's, video games, there's movies, there's streamers. Like, why do you even know anything?
Magazines.
Yeah.
VR.
or even pastime hobbies like
People go out to eat, they go dancing,
shopping.
Yeah. I mean, some people are animal people and they're just spending like hours at the park or hiking or something.
Or even just looking at animals or studying animals. You can go to like a safari.
Oh, yeah. And then you're also opening the door to all the other types of things you could study. I mean, look how long people go to school to be a doctor.
Oh, yeah, education. Or just exercise, just activities that have nothing to do with watching something, just things that you do for yourself.
People trying to understand and find new formulas and sciences and
cooking.
People collect. I mean, stamps, cards, rocks, swimmers.
Just there are people that just enjoy doing nothing. Like just don't want to watch TV, read a book. They don't want to do any. They kind of want to escape.
Yeah, yoga, stretching, meditation. But they know you, despite all of that.
All of what?
Rocks, yoga,
education,
animals, hiking,
cooking,
movies,
video games,
VR. Yeah, man. It's a small world, dude. But at the end of the day, it's art.
Well, usually at the end of the day, it's dark.
What did I say?
Art.
Cut back. Show it. At the end of the day, it's dark. See?
Depends how far into the day you go.
Are you allowed to say that? I think you have to say Italian American.
There you go. I see what you did there.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're protecting me.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be much more careful today than when I started.
Yeah.
I can't say those things.
No. Well, as you know, not with hate.
Well, I'm even especially. I'll be honest. I'm an amateur now, but you got to be really expertise at your pronouns.
Mm-hmm. Well, by design, would be amateur nouns, but together on a podcast, when people are watching, we have to do them as pronouns, right?
Well, unless you pay me for my nouns. Can I buy a vowel?
Which goes back. Am I supposed to pay you as a guest?
Not here for my beans.
That's where the saying comes from.
You
want me to get rid of them?
No. Do you have dinner parties ever here?
No. I don't like people eating here. I don't really like people in here, with the exception of podcasting. And I put down the blanket.
Have you ever lit a fire in your fireplace and then just burned yourself? Look at how you I'm not into feng shui. Is that what it's called? Don't say. Is that bad too?
Yeah, Italian American.
Oh, all right. Putting the way you set up your home and stuff like that.
It's not ideal for a living room. It's not ideal for a podcast studio. This is the best I found to have them be together.
But wouldn't it be good if we just gathered around the fireplace and just had a chat?
What, and like have you here? Because I want to be far away from you or from my guest.
But it's not only that you're far away, like everything of comfort is on your side and you've left nothing to the guest. Like you have the lamps, the fireplace.
Interesting.
You have the air purifier.
Well, that's
you have
movable,
the trophies.
but yeah.
No, but what do I have? I have like some blankets.
Could you give me any advice for the next podcast? What I could do to make?
No, but just a guest sits here and goes, "Oh, look at all his stuff. Look what I have. Nothing."
You're looking at pleasing things. I'm looking at nothing. Isn't it better for you?
You're looking at me. You have a lot of quiet time on this podcast, don't you?
Yeah.
But I like that because it gives the viewer a chance to discuss.
Yeah.
Let's give them a moment.
Oh, also during this time, you could do your thing. During this time, I forgot we were supposed to 10 minutes later. What I do is I do 10% of 5,000 is 500. 1% of 5,000 is 50. So for 12%, it would be 50 plus 50, 100 plus 500 is 600.
See, that made me nervous. I'll tell you why. Because I'm really good in math, and I can do the math. And the teacher, the one thing that drove me nuts. She goes, show your work. Show your work. And I figured one day I'm going to grow up and we could just
Was she hard of hearing?
Why?
The way you said that, it sounded like she was hard of hearing.
Oh, I didn't mean to do that.
Okay.
If I was doing that, I apologized.
Oh,
no,
okay.
hard to hear. No, I didn't mean
I was
to.
just.
No, I didn't mean to.
Okay.
I wasn't mimicking, deaf people. Anyway, she wasn't deaf.
Good.
She was.
But it's okay.
It is okay if she was deaf.
But you didn't show work the way she wanted you to show work.
No, because they would, what's what was it, 20%, 12% of 500,
Yeah.
5,000, 12% of 5,000. She would say, I'd say, this is the answer. And then she'd go, well, how did you get to that? You got to show me your work.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am, maybe 50 years later, and you're showing them our work where I thought I would one day grow up and be past that.
Are you being serious? Was there an issue with showing work, or is that just completely a joke?
I had an issue with school. I had an issue
Same.
with, I have an issue trying to fit in. I like to celebrate, you talk about, whether you talk about being on the spectrum or OCD or ADHD, it just is. And you have to celebrate and do the best you can with what you have. And fitting into a mold, which school perpetuated, always bothered me because we aren't. And the things that we need to celebrate about ourselves is what we need to, and what school does, the education system right now in North America, is kind of knock that down. Instead of figuring out, like I would have done well in school if I didn't have to sit down. I can't sit down.
I'm moving my office. I just got a standing desk.
But I need to move. It's even hard now that I've made myself conscious of it, just even sitting here. But everybody's got whatever we have.
Yeah.
And and now you can go, the beauty, you can get diagnosed. But even if you're so what do you do with that?
Well, diagnoses give you a blueprint there's like a rule book.
No, that's for you. So that's like, oh, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So you're still trying to fit into a group. Even if you have OCD, I'm not like anybody else with OCD.
It's not about fitting into a group. It's about finding tools to deal with it.
But I've been finding those tools all along. They don't always mesh.
Correct.
Whether it's my comedy, whether it's how odd I am, or whether it's how I can't sit still and I need to pace, whether it's just not showing up someplace, whether it's lying in the corner in the fetal position, whatever it is, I do what I do, and I don't want to feel less because that's not what you do.
I am. So you were talking about wanting to do things as a kid, and it's just for you. And going on stage, and you'd be your happiest if nobody got you. And when you read the comments and, oh, I don't get this, or how he's doing wrong, like, haha, you take pride in them not getting it. But you even referred to it not as, you didn't say, I have a problem, there's a problem fitting in or I don't fit in. You even called it trying to fit in because you're trying to fit in. And it seems like you had this identity of not fitting in.
But
is that right?
But I get different joy from different things. Like if I'm online or someplace and I go, look at the, I'm pointing at your beans and I'm going, look at this is not a good example of it, but I'm going, look at the plant I planted. I've just planted this 2 weeks ago and look how it's blossomed. And then I read in the comments, that's not a plant.
He's an idiot. Doesn't he know those are beans?
Those are beans.
Stupid Jew.
But then I go, the beauty is,
I know more than you.
Well, the beauty is he or she totally believed that I thought was a plant.
Yeah.
That to me is an amazing piece of art.
Yes.
That's looking at the painting and going, that looks like a photograph. That doesn't look like a painting that you did of a forest. They bought that I believe that this is a plant. That's beautiful. That's almost more beautiful than going, he's acting silly.
Of course.
He thinks the beans are a plant.
Because then you didn't do it well enough. Then you didn't do it well enough. And where I connect with that is, as a kid, and I really feel it's the same, but as a kid, I was doing that, and it wasn't that I didn't want them to know or I did. None of that existed. It's just everyone was thinking what I was thinking, and I knew that, even though I was wrong. So everyone was in my head. So when I do look at the plant, haha, everyone knows what I'm doing. There's no trying to trick or not trick. And I was weird and kicked out of school and no friends and in trouble and this medication and this special school and this special this, and you get older, you learn this language of one thing we can control is, like me or not, I could get you to laugh. And for me, one of the big ones is when you're laughing, I know what you're thinking because I never knew what people were thinking unless they were laughing. Now I want to be able to take that power back and I could control it. And instead of me thinking that it's a plant and everyone else is an idiot, or excuse me, it's me thinking it's a plant and everyone else thinks I'm a weirdo idiot, now I know it's not a plant. They're the idiots or they're the weirdos and I'm in control. Does that connect with you at all?
A little bit, except I'm not putting this on you, but I don't disparage anybody for not getting it.
How am I disparaging?
Well, you're an idiot.
I'm sorry, that's not fair. I meant it's like it's not me anymore. It was less about them being an idiot, more I'm not an idiot is how I should have said that.
The more they believe my silliness, the better I am, not the less they are.
Yes.
The better I am.
Yes.
And if I could create my own little world for me that doesn't get a laugh, I somehow enjoy myself. And maybe because I'm so uncomfortable in the real world that I feel in total control of creating this bizarro existence that I can live in alone. And I've said this many times. If I could make a living and put a roof over my head and, be able to afford all the things that I'm able to afford and nobody knew my name and nobody was, but I can do this, I'd be okay. I would be just as happy.
I spent the first 8 years of doing comedy knowing that what I'm doing is funny and I wanted people to like it, but there's no way of telling them what it is.
But isn't this amazing? This is, you go, when we came in and you cut this up, but I go, this is a really cool apartment. It really is. You're a guy who's not married. You're a young guy. You got a beautiful girlfriend in London. Look at this, and you're not worried about paying this month's rent. You're about to go do another show for doing what you do.
I think about it all the time.
That's a fucking dream.
Yeah.
That is, nobody gets to do this. Nobody, and that's the thing that is amazing.
But I wouldn't have been able to do that if it weren't for acting first.
Well, whatever way in. I wouldn't have been able to do it unless somebody dared me. I wouldn't have been able to do it.
But comedy, like what you're saying, I love this thing that seems to be very hard. It seemed to be, still seems, but definitely seemed to be very hard for audience to digest.
Why?
Because...
But don't worry about the audience. Do it.
Yeah. And I was.
When you think of the audience, if you overanalyze the audience, maybe this is not good for you people, the audience, to hear. But if I'm doing it to please each and every person, I'll dilute who I am, and then it becomes about the power that you have rather than trying to use my power for my art form.
Yeah, same exact thing. But it's when you do it for a long time, it does. At least for me, and I am still that way. And I'm watching all my peers getting their specials and selling out theaters and doing all these things while I am just, people are believing me, but they're not always laughing.
Oh, so?
I go back and forth with this with myself all the time. And
I don't give a shit about anybody else's special. I don't give a shit about...
I want to be able to do that. It is a goal of mine to have a special. And I'm just so...
If and when it comes, it'll come. The point is that if it becomes about doing the special, then that's what you'll dilute yourself. Just do what you do, and they'll find you. Everything I was ever expelled for, hit for, or punished for seems to be what I get paid for today. Yeah. And, my comedy wasn't like anybody else I knew. I'll tell you, my biggest hero in comedy, I don't know if we talked about that on my podcast. It was Richard Pryor. And Richard Pryor, who you won't see an inkling of Richard Pryor in anything that I do. But Richard Pryor, who was a real trendsetter in the sense that as a young black comic at that time, Cosby was the king. You could ask your father about that. And he was on Ed Sullivan and he was on The Tonight Show and he was getting his own series and he was acting.
I watched your clip on when Anthony Jeselnik was on about that SNL story with Norm Macdonald. And I We're not gonna get into it, but it's on Howie's channel. But Norm Macdonald and Cosby, and when he met Cosby.
Yes. Isn't that
Very
great?
funny.
Isn't that very funny?
Yeah.
Norm Macdonald was a guy like that who who danced to his own drummer.
Yep.
And you know what? I think his most appreciation, it's only because people were forced by his death to kind of analyze what he's done.
Maybe in the comedy community, he was always
But I
beloved.
think now it's appreciated by even more than the
Maybe,
comedy.
yeah.
Because he was committed to just be
what he thought was
authentic.
funny.
No, authentic. It's,
Well, what's the difference?
What is the difference?
Well, he did what he thought was funny. is
Because
his
I could write
authenticity.
funny stuff. I could write an act that would do really good in stand up on the Tonight Show, but that's not what I do. You know, it's really and not that I couldn't be on the Tonight Show, but it's not what I do. In fact, the things that I do got me thrown off the Tonight Show. You know, but that's what I do. You know, and that was, you know, I got thrown the last time I did 22 Tonight Shows with Johnny Carson.
The last one you were thrown off of?
I did. I brought.
What does thrown off of mean? You mean they didn't air it, or they like kicked you out?
Yeah, they told me that Johnny never wants me to do the show again.
From one act where you were just taking a swing?
Yeah.
What was the bit?
I'll show you the picture too.
I'll put it up here.
Okay, I did a. You just do the still. Just throw up the still, and I'll give it to you. But I was not. I wanted to do the Tonight Show because, like you, wanting to do a Netflix special or
Yeah,
a
an
special.
accomplishment, like a trophy.
Well, though I don't think it's the same today as it was when I was starting out. In layman's terms, if you bumped up into somebody in the street and they didn't know you, and they didn't have to know you, and they said, "What do you do for a living?" and you said you're a comedian, they would go, "Have you ever been on Johnny Carson?"
Right.
And if you didn't answer yes, then you were not
It's like saying you're a podcaster, but you've never been on Rogan.
right, which
Yeah.
I am. A podcaster that's never been on Rogan.
Rogan, have him on, huh?
Will you get me on? Can you get me on Joe Rogan?
I won't say hi to him on here, but I'll acknowledge it.
Have you been on Joe Rogan?
No.
So what I did was, there's a story about how I got on, but I finally got on, and
And he knows you. You've done 21 appearances already.
Oh yeah,
Right.
and I got on for years and years. I was trying to get on, couldn't get on. Joan Rivers brought me on. He saw me on with Joan Rivers, and then he invited me on, and then he loved me.
Oh, your first one was when Joan was guest hosting.
Yes, and then he
Jewish.
Yes, she was. She was a good friend, and I miss her dearly. But so they called me one day. I was like a comic that was on, you know, they always had me on the best of Carson and things like that. And they called me one day, and this is Sammy Davis Jr. was supposed to be on that day. And that's the day he got diagnosed with cancer. And they found out like at 2 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And they called me, Jim McCauley, who was the booker for that show, called me and said, can you come on? We had dropout, but you're and I go, Jim, I got nothing.
I don't want to ruin your story. Could I guess the bit?
Go ahead.
You came on as a Sammy Davis Jr. impression?
No, no, but it's funny.
Okay.
But you'll never guess it because it's not guessable. I didn't guess it. So I said no to him. I can't come on because I do plan my.
Right. You didn't have something you were ready to do.
No, I got nothing. He goes, Howie, you're always funny. Please come on. What people should know, unlike podcasts like your podcast and my podcast, there was no pre-interview. You didn't do, but if you do a talk show, you know, those discussions don't just come out of the air. They call you the day before. They say, have him ask me this, and then I got a funny answer for this, and don't cut me off until I do this, and then the last story we'll tell is this. Can I fit that into a 7-minute segment? It's very planned, very produced.
So when you're going on, are you going on as a stand-up performance, or are you going on at the couch?
At that point, I'm just going on the couch. I was on a show called Saint Elsewhere, which is a dramatic a drama, a hospital show. That's where Denzel Washington came out of also. So
on training day.
It was
Put his Instagram handle up here.
Okay. Is there gonna be any room for me with all the plugs?
Dude, let me do my thing.
All right. So I said I can't. He goes, I'll trust you. I go, I'm not gonna. You can't ask any questions. Whatever comes up, I'm going to do it for you.
And at this point, you don't have an idea. It's not that you have an idea that you don't want to tell him. You don't even know what it is yet.
I have no fucking idea, and I don't want to worry about writing something down or thinking of something, then calling him and going, Jim, I wanna come on and I want to train a crocodile. And he'll go, no crocodiles. I don't want to go through that. And I was in the middle of, this sounds so show business, but I was doing a movie, and I was at a studio, Laird Studios, where they did Gone with the Wind out in L.A., and I hung up the phone. I had 2 hours to get to the Tonight Show, and I went to as soon as I hung up the phone, I went into the prop department at this movie studio, and for whatever reason, the first thing that I saw was this 12-foot plastic saber-toothed tiger. It was like maybe more than 12 feet, like from here to the kitchen. It was a saber-toothed tiger, giant saber-toothed tiger statue, or made out of heavy I don't know what it was. And I said, how much would it cost for you to ship that over to NBC in Burbank on like a dolly that couldn't roll? And the guy goes like $500. Like, okay, I'm going to write a check. Can you do that in the next hour? Put it on a truck and ship it there? He goes, yeah. And as I turn around, there's a giant carrot that's the length of a room. I said, can you tie the carrot on it? And he goes, okay, that's another $200. I don't know how
does he know the prices?
I know, it's just fucking nuts. So I said, do that. And then I phoned Jim one more time. I said, okay, I'm coming over. You're going to get a delivery. I don't know what it is, but the guy said he's going to. I didn't want to tell him what it was so that he would ask questions. I said, I don't know what it is, but accept it. He goes, man, you pulled this one out of your hat. Thank you so much. Anyway, I get there. And I've been doing the Tonight Show so many times that, I'm backstage and I hear Johnny go, this is a funny young man who's on this network. He's on St. Elsewhere. He's had 5 HBO specials. You're going to love him. He's always here. Ladies and gentlemen, Howie Mandel. And the guy pages the curtain. And I have a rope with the dolly. There's this giant saber-toothed tiger with a carrot on it.
Similar to the desk that was being pulled.
Yes. I didn't even think about that. But that must have been it. I'm trying to Google that. Anyway, I pull it out. And I get to and the audience is going crazy. And I pull it out and I get to the riser where Johnny's desk is on a riser and the couch is on a riser and that. And the edge of the dolly comes to the lip of the riser.
And cameras don't know blocking for this, so they're just
no. And not only that, cameras don't know blocking. They never in those days move that camera.
Right.
That camera. Those were giant. 2-ton cameras on giant pods.
So you're doing something that the audience at home doesn't have full context to yet.
Not yet. So that now I get to the riser, and for whatever reason, I'm trying to lift the front paws onto the riser, and I can't do it. And I say to Ed McMahon, who is the co-host, could you help me? And at this time, the applause has died down. It's kind of quiet. He looks at Johnny like, what the fuck? Right. Anyway, he comes over and he's trying to lift. And then I say to Doc Severinsen, who is the band leader, maybe if you come to the back. And so he's pushing it on. So now we kind of get it up there. And as we get it, the front paws up on the riser, the head blocks Johnny and the desk. And I can hear in everybody's headsets, I can hear the director going, what the fuck? Camera 3, back up. And the cameras are going up and they're shooting from angles down to the top of Johnny's head. And I'm telling you, it's probably...
At this moment, you don't know what you're doing. You're just being physical and funny.
I'm being physical.
Right.
Funny is...
I think this is great, but...
It's quiet. It's been 2 minutes of death.
And where do you think you're going? Let's say you get it up on the thing.
I don't think.
Right.
That's my ADHD. Yeah. I don't think. Just like
which lets you be present.
Yeah. So I just I said I was going to come out with it. Then when I got to the riser, I thought I'm going to lift it. Yeah. Those moments came to me in the moment. Yeah. I'm not going to. And I never said I'm going to spend. And then I'm sweating because physically sweating. Because,
I'm sorry for interrupting, but while you're lifting and doing this in your head, is this to me that's. The harder it is, the funnier it is. Bring everybody over. What the fuck's going on? That's funny. While you're trying to lift it, are you now aware, here's the game? Maybe once I get it up, there's another game. But are you aware of here it is, bring other people in?
No, I was handling it more like an act. I'm just in the moment of this guy that's got to bring it out and got to get it on the stage. I don't know what I'm going to say.
So you're not aware of where the joke is?
No, I'm hoping I find it. I've always...
And you didn't find it yet, trying to bring it up. You didn't think that was funny yet.
It's I dived into the pool. I didn't know if I'd make it to the bottom and be able to find that... my watch is having trouble hearing me.
You could try holding it here.
Can you hear me now? I guess not.
Okay.
Anyway, so it's an eternity, which is probably under 2 minutes, but that's a lot of time on national television. I get it up on the riser. It's blocking the desk.
Is the carrot up there too? Where's the carrot?
Carrot's on the back of the tiger. And Johnny, if you knew Johnny, he was just tapping the pencil, like, where is this going? Where is this going? And I get it up there, and I finally sit down, and I'm honestly soaked with sweat. And I just sit down, and I don't even say anything. And he goes, okay. I go, okay, it's great to be here. He goes, what is it? I go, what? He goes, what is, there's got to be something. And I go, Johnny, you know I'm here every few weeks. I don't want to talk about this.
That's good.
And he said, really? And I said, really? I'll talk about anything else. And I had, jokes from my act. And I started doing it. He goes, you're really not going to... And within 1 or 2 questions, he said, we'll be back with more after this. He never turned his head to me again. Stagehands came out. They removed the tiger. They removed the carrot. And he brought on the next guest. And I never did it again.
I'm surprised that he didn't think that was funny.
Why?
Because I see what the joke is. And
here's the thing. He knew the joke was in that world, when you're in the midst of that, it's uncomfortable.
I have takes.
But he doesn't need to be uncomfortable. He's been in this business for 30 years. He doesn't need that.
Let me when you're done with that, because I want your attention. No, I'm going to wait until you're done. I can't talk with people on the phone.
I'm not on the phone.
We'll fast forward this part.
Wait.
Take your time, but I'm not. I'm waiting.
I'm going to show you something.
Yeah, great.
I'll send that to you.
Yeah, and it was already up. And you just showed me the picture that we'll put it up again. Okay, let me take it for a second, because I spend so much time deconstructing what you did and those kind of bits. And like I said, the first 8 years I didn't even think about, because it's brilliant. It's not brilliant, but in my head, this is great. It's art. I got to the point because of, for better or worse, seeing my friends doing these things. This is funny. There's a reason it's not working. I don't know what the reason is, but I believed if I could just change one tiny little thing, if I could make one tiny little compromise and then get people to enjoy it, what is that? I haven't figured out a magic formula, but here's my take on it. You had it doesn't work if Johnny or at least the audience isn't uncomfortable, right? You're also going to be a better performer if they're uncomfortable, because they believe you, so it's easier to be in that moment, okay? Things are weird. It's worth it if that tension goes away or builds to something different. Like you said, controlling an environment, right?
I have a different take, but I want to hear yours.
Right. I think the joke of, Johnny, I'm here every few weeks. I just don't want to talk about this. That plays to me. That's already enough. That works on Conan, by the way. Conan gets it. He loves it. That's weird. It's what it's supposed to be. My take is, Johnny didn't think that line was worth it.
Right.
If there was a line that was worth it, all you need is the same awkward, but you need to have something that's worth it. A version of that is, I'm not pitching you a joke from 30 years ago, but I am. Sorry, man. I just found out, you had a cancellation. I just found out I had this shit in my car. I was afraid somebody was going to steal it. I just wanted to bring it in. Something that's an obvious joke.
Right.
The obvious joke we maybe don't like because it's just for me. I want this to be for me, so I don't want to make a joke. For me at least, my thought is do everything that you want to do, Rick. Do your weird, do your awkward, make it believable, control the environment, but compromise. Have one joke that lets people at least know maybe this is on purpose. If you could get a laugh on that one thing, like when you're in trouble in school.
I totally respect everything you're saying, and I understand what you're saying, but I have a really different view. And I'll tell you what my view is. My view is this. If you go to a comedy club on an amateur night and you see on amateur night, you see people always say, you see these people get up and what the fuck are they thinking? And there's nothing more uncomfortable than when they're bombing. The truth of the matter is nobody's really there under their own volition. Everybody's there because one person at least said, you got to go to the comedy club. You're funny. Whether it was my friend.
Oh, you're talking about the comedians, not the audience.
The comedian.
Okay. You're saying new comedians are there because of something.
Right. Here's what happens. I was only up on stage because one person said to me, I dare you to get up and do something, right? Here's my point. My point is everyone has a sense of humor. It just may not be the same sense as the next person. We are lucky that more than just Uncle Nathan thinks you're really funny. Okay. That more than just Uncle Nathan laugh at what you do. You garner an audience. I tell a story about the first time I sold out Radio City Music Hall. I did 2 shows in one night. So this, we may have talked about this on my podcast. And we were in the dressing room, my wife and I, and I'm looking down onto 7th Avenue. We're on Radio City Music Hall at the end of the first show. 7,000 people are teeming into the street. 7,000 people are coming in for the next show. 14,000 people are blocking traffic. They have cops. They have stanchions. In the middle of Manhattan, the biggest city in the world, 14,000 people are, there's a quagmire. And my wife says, all this is for you. What are you thinking? And I wasn't smiling or anything. And I said, you want me to be honest with you? I'm thinking in this city of 10 million, 9,886,000 people, don't give a shit. And what I realized is if I'm pure to I can't make, there's always going to be millions and billions of people who don't give a shit about what I do, don't like what I do. It's always going to be a million times more people. So I can't please people. The only person that I can please is me. If I'm
That's not true.
If I'm lucky enough that, no, it's not true. What's true is if I please me and I'm lucky enough that other people glom on to what I like.
Yes.
I'm enjoying that and I'm taking advantage of that. And that's why I'm on your podcast today, because I don't mind sharing what I do with people. If people are watching and they think this is one of the most boring episodes ever, that's on them. It's not on me.
This is great.
No, but what I'm saying is I'm not here to try to get you. I am here you're asking me questions. I'm just answering questions. My point is, and my comedy is like that too. My comedy, my acting, whatever I'm doing. Well, not when I do AGT. That's a job. They want me to be a certain way.
Your art.
Well, the art on that is I'm just being authentic. I'm just being real. It's really hard. As a comedian, doing that show was really hard for me because we are trained supposedly to be doing things and want a reaction. When I went to Dallas, Texas, and I told the local guy, and even this happens in the audience, I don't like that music. I don't like what you're doing. And 2,000 people behind me are booing. That was hard to, and now I don't care. I'm just honest.
Sure.
I don't care if you don't like what I say. I don't care if you don't laugh at what I do. As long as I'm enjoying myself.
So, I don't want to. But I mean, it was a ridiculous statement, but I believe you. I want to say that I believe you.
What, you think I'm successful? I've never had a Netflix special. Netflix has never come to me and offered me a special.
It's not about success. It's about just a goal that we create, and you want to go for it. But I want to talk about that thing because I don't care. I want to make this about me, not you.
Okay.
But tell me where you connect. I not only understand everything you're talking about, I lived it and often live that. And I came into some awareness a few years ago that kind of broadened my worldview, not about comedy, just about interpersonal relationships, myself, patterns that I didn't realize existed. And with that, I started all these calculations that I always made here, I've opened them up. So for right or wrong, I think about this stuff all the time. And in the past few years, what I've realized is this idea of, I'm making this about me, but your example, I don't care what these 2,000 people think. I'm not that way. I could tell myself I'm that way. The way I am and the way I'm proud of is I do care, but I'm not influenced by it. And when I'm on stage and the audience isn't liking what I'm doing, or at least not yet, because I haven't given that joke that maybe I don't even have yet, I'm not affected by it. I'm not nervous. I'm not worried. I'm not trying to please. But I'd be lying to myself if I said it wouldn't make a difference if they were stern-faced or laughing. I care. I want everyone to think I'm a genius.
Oh, but I care also. But if you're more aware of their reaction and how they're doing it, like you live in that awkward. How are you able to hold in that awkward? Like you could give up really fast and
by
go, oh, you know what? I'm
trusting.
not getting you got to trust yourself.
By trusting
yourself.
By trusting yourself, and that's the craft. We talk about art. Art is the final product that's on the wall. Craft is being able to make it, and it's so hard. And I got lucky that I figured out how to do it enough because I was so unaware for such a long time that I found something because I was blindfolded. But now the craft is being able to sit in it, but trusting that thing. Like, oh my God, but trusting, don't worry, I'll find it. The way you do.
I do.
And sometimes we don't find it.
And but that discomfort, it's like working out. No pain, no gain.
Yes.
Just that it keeps me in the now. You know, it is, you asked me this on my podcast, what is the panacea? And the biggest panacea for me, even...
What's panacea mean?
What the fuck is panacea? What's the matter with you?
Like a penicillin, that eases it, the safety net. The biggest medicine to get through has been stand-up comedy. But the panacea, that's in those moments, and the more uncomfortable it gets, like even for the people watching, the more uncomfortable it is for me, the more I feel alive. The more I don't have...
The more you're in control, right?
But I don't have the energy to think about where this may be going. I don't have the energy to worry about where it was. I'm just living in the now. And living in the now is what we all need to do. Whether you're doing comedy, whether you're working, whether you're just being productive, just being alive, and just being you, you know? And I'm not a person that does comedy. Comedy is me sometimes.
I refer to it as a language. I agree.
But it is me. Right now I'm having a serious discussion in the moment, you know? And then we were silly for a moment. But I didn't try to be silly. Just silly things I just go with, that's life. Go with the flow, you know? And I'm in the flow and I'm waiting and I'm not worried about, you know, really winning this race, and it is a race to get the biggest laugh, to get the most success, to have more people know me, more people watch me. I don't care. I need to just survive.
Yeah. Well, there it is. Your need is survival.
Yeah.
And believe me, same. And I don't like that.
Why?
Because, and I'm feeling myself like... Because it's hard. I can't control it. The emotion is a body reaction. I feel like I'm okay. But surviving means you don't get to just do, you know?
No, you're wrong. No, you're doing right now. The fact that you're in touch with your emotions, this is not a bad thing.
I don't think it's a bad thing. I understand. But it's
I hope you show this to your audience. I hope you do.
Will.
Because, but the point is, exactly where you are right now, I'm there so much of my life. I need to survive. And that's the things that we chase, that we think we want, they don't mean anything and I'm telling you this as a 66-year-old guy who was 20, how old are you? 37, right?
Yeah. Today. Yeah.
Happy birthday, buddy.
No, today I'm 37. I meant it's not my birthday. I'm just saying today I'm 37.
Oh, for the whole year. Okay. So what I'm saying is I was having a rougher time at 37 than I'm having now. And I realized that in perspective, all these moments and all these needs and all these wants and the things that I was killing myself for are not important. They didn't mean anything. They meant something that meant so much to me right now, and I gotta get it, and I'm so disappointed, and I'm so fucked up, and I just need it. That means absolutely nothing to me 20 years later. And what I realized, that thing didn't change. My perspective changed. So if I can just achieve, you know what I'm trying to do? I just want to be content. I just want to feel content.
Yeah.
And the hardest thing in life is to not, I always say, if I'm not laughing, I'm crying. The hardest thing that I can achieve, it's not Why do you want to be famous? Because you think that'll make you happy? Why do you want to make money? Because you think it'll be happy? Why do you want the whole audience to laugh at you? Because you think you'll be happy? No. You have to find the contentment in yourself. As soon as you start relying on an audience, as soon as you start relying on notoriety and anything externally, it's over. It's over. It's only from you. And that's what my comedy is. That's what my existence is. That's what everything is.
But it's not just, I mean, relatively speaking, I am career-wise. I mean, I want a house, but other than that, you know, like, I mean, like even a special.
But, you know, we talked about this.
Fine.
You actually could afford a house.
Yeah.
You're controlling it. You're making decisions to not have a house. You're also
because I want to
it-
wait until I could get the house I want.
You can have the house you want today.
I can't get the house I want today.
You can. Anybody can.
It wouldn't be efficient for me to get the house I want today.
You have made a decision that in order for you to have the house today that you want, you're not willing to do the sacrifice that it would take.
What would it take?
Well, I don't know what that is, and I'm not asking for your finances. I'm just saying that there are people in this life that are driving cars that they can't afford. There are people that are living in houses that they can't afford, but they're happy because they can live that. And to have that kind of debt would weigh too heavy on you. It doesn't weigh on them. They can go through life and they've maxed out their credit cards and they got this gorgeous mansion, but it's empty because they can't afford the drapes and they can't afford that. It's what is your comfort level. So you are comfortable, you've made a decision to not have the dream house of your life, to live in this nice apartment, to do the career. You're making that decision.
Yeah.
If you're uncomfortable with debt, the way I'm comfortable with not getting a laugh or being silly or having people saying mean things to me online, I'm okay with that now. And it took me 30 years, a ton of medication, a ton of coping skills to get to this point. And it's really up and down. COVID has been really hard. It's terrified me. Yeah. I'm terrified as I sit here. This is really uncomfortable for me.
Thank you for doing this.
Well, I connected to you because I feel like you're wandering down the same path that I'm still on, you know? And the thing is that it's just really, really, life is hard. Shit happens. If you can achieve any contentment in any way, from moment to moment.
But I want to. The house, I'm fine. This makes sense to me, so I'm happy here. This makes sense because I'm building. I'm growing the podcast. I'm on a show. My stand-up is blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm in no rush. The part that gets me with the survival thing isn't about the audiences. That's me trying to hack into a device and figure it out. What sucks is I have friends that I have a closet of clothes that my friends leave here, that I wash when they're done, that when they come into my house, they have to put their indoor clothes on.
Right.
I mean, I make exceptions with stuff with blankets and stuff, but they can't go in. It's so...
So I have those things.
And my friends are understanding enough. I say enough because they're understanding, but also it's work for them, and they're willing to do it, but it's exhausting. And then sometimes it's a little too much, and especially when the anxiety is too much... I don't go outside. I'm fine outside. I was fine coming to your studio. And I've talked about this on my podcast, but my issue isn't leaving the house as much because I could put on the mask and cover up or whatever. My issue is coming back home and cleaning everything and showering and changing my clothes.
So I was into that. I think we talked about it. You know, in my documentary, my wife gave
What's your documentary? You have a documentary?
Howie Mandel, but enough about me. You can put that up on.
But where is it?
It's on Peacock right now.
Okay, I'll watch it today. I would have watched it before you came over. I didn't know.
It's okay. You don't have to do. I'm here to tell you.
I'm interested.
My wife, I've been married for 42 years. About in my 40s, just a little older than you. My wife, I was living this life, and my wife gave me an ultimatum. You know, you have friends. You're not married.
No, don't say this. My girlfriend's gonna. Don't give me an ultimatum.
So you don't want me to say it?
No, you say it. I'm just.
My wife gave me an ultimatum. I had 3 kids and said, I'm out. I can't, I don't have the energy anymore.
I know.
And I understand. It's exhausting for everybody around you. When I went to therapy, they said, Howie, it's also exhausting for you to try to make the world live in your world. Nobody, listen to me. Nobody has to live in your world. You have to figure out how to live in everybody's.
Let me say this, and maybe you've made this observation, but I already have. Isn't that why?
Then why am I sitting on a blanket?
It doesn't mean I've acquiesced to it. I just know it exists. I know that's a goal.
Right, but you've made your life real easy to be able to do that because you're living alone, basically.
Yes.
You've got a girlfriend in another continent.
But what I'm saying is that advice of live in their world, not the other way around, is why we have this art that is, I don't care if they're living in my world or not.
But I think you still need more coping skills in order to get and that's what I've achieved.
For real life, you mean?
In everything. Who we are and how we function bleeds into our art, bleeds into our life, bleeds into our family, bleeds into everything we do. You don't separate this.
But that's what I'm saying, why the art is, like you're saying, it's all about you and not about them, which is the opposite of your, at least when you used to be, your personal life.
I say...
Because people wouldn't live in your world, so you said, I don't care what they think.
I don't know how your audience reacts to you, but a lot of people take what I do as a joke. Like I'm known as the germaphobe, and I'm known as and they make light of it, and I make light of it with them. It's not really light. I've said if you watched Howard Hughes, who had everything going for him, lived the end of his life in the fetal position, naked, peeing in a bottle. I can't tell.
The aviator.
Yeah. I can't tell you how close I am to that at any given moment.
With what happened? With a break, like where things are just too much? Is it anxiety?
It's really hard not to control everything around me to make myself as comfortable as possible.
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable.
What's a coping skill?
Distraction is the biggest one.
Yeah.
Distraction, and whether the distraction is my art,
yeah.
and I have to do my art and not worry about how much you like my art, whether I can really allow the audience to believe, I'm going to make strangers think that I believe this is a plant. And whether I'm focused totally on making you believe this is a plant, then that's just a distraction. You know what I mean? And every waking moment, I have medication, which
What is the medication you take?
I don't tell you. Okay. I won't tell you.
You tell me off camera or no?
Not really. I won't. The truth of the matter is, here's what I will tell you. Could
you push that a little bit this way? It's covering your face. No, the plant.
Yeah, my thing is, and the reason I won't tell you the medication is because you have a big audience. A lot of people suffer. I'm not a doctor. Yeah. What's good for the goose is not necessarily good for the gander. I will tell you that I've taken other medication. It's always a roller coaster. I will take a medication and have a horrible reaction to it, and then they have to change it, and then it works. And for 3 years, I'm treading water.
Oh, you have to keep changing.
Yeah, because your body chemistry keeps changing or your environment keeps changing. Yeah. Well, but you're saying, life keeps changing. I'm 66. I can't run as fast as I did when I was 37. My knee hurts now. So what's the difference that I have to take another pill?
So Jewish.
But it's also so old. What I realized at this point, and it goes fast, it's always changing. The current of life changes, and I can't, I've made a choice to survive. And that's the one choice I've made. And whatever that takes, and whether it's working out like crazy until I hurt myself, I did. I was running 7 to 10 miles every single day. My hip is shot, my knee is shot, and my foot is shot. I didn't care about being in shape.
Boy, my arm's tired.
That's your line.
Thank you. I did the same. I have had multiple surgeries, the same thing, with shoulders and elbows.
But not because I was interested in running, not because it was for my head. Whatever I need to do to escape and to run, to escape myself.
Do you have a hard time going to bed? Because
it's the worst. Night is the worst.
Because you don't want to sit with yourself, right?
No, it's too quiet. And what I was doing is I was medicating and I was taking gummies and drinking. And now I think I got... that bothered me because I didn't feel well in the after effects, so I've stopped all that.
Yep.
But now it's even harder, so I lie awake all night waiting to die.
Do you stay up because
I do? I can't sleep, and I think I wait to die. Then the light, and then the sun comes up, and I'm doing things, and I'm invited to a podcast.
Wait to die. Could you say that differently? Not without being what's the word I'm looking for? Without hyperbole. Like what are you really waiting for? You're not
know
waiting
that
to die.
I am.
You're thinking about, is it fear? Are you scared?
Scared, anticipating,
Waiting
worried.
to die is in dying that night, or waiting to die is in like just you're going on this machine and one day you're going to die. Like, what does that mean, you're waiting to die?
Exactly. I can't make it any clearer than that. I just know that listen, as my therapist constantly says, like, with all these things we're worried about, nobody's getting out of here alive. Nobody. You can't escape. In the best case scenario, you're going if you're so scared and you're keeping germs away from yourself, and you're going to bury everybody you love, and then you're going to die. But chances are you're going to die first before everybody you love dies. So I'm just waiting to die. That's the finish line.
Okay.
Is that terrible to think?
No. I mean, it's dark. But no, it's your truth, and I'm sure a lot of people do that.
It's everybody's truth. You introduce me to one person that's never going to die.
No, I'm saying the truth.
So how do I know it's not going to happen tonight? And whether it's going to happen when I'm lying there and there's an earthquake and the ceiling's going to come down on me,
I don't want
whether I'm going to or whether I'm going to wake up and find out I have cancer, or whether I'm going to wake up. I'm just saying those are the thoughts when it's quiet, when I'm not being creative, when I'm not trying to be funny, when I'm not doing a show, and I just depressed myself right now.
You go to therapy every week still?
I go to therapy. I have different kinds of as needed.
Right. There we go.
And then sometimes I'll leave therapy feeling worse than I did going into therapy. It's a roller coaster. Why do you go and work out at a gym? You work out at a gym. Sometimes you feel like it's a good workout. Sometimes you injure yourself. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you've worked out so hard that you're building your body, you can't even walk because every muscle hurts. What is the difference between that mental muscle and your physical muscle? Nothing.
First base.
Oh,
sorry. Yeah, that's a fair.
Am I depressing
connection.
you?
No, you're not. I really wanted to talk about. There's a lot of things. I loved everything about this, and no obligations. But if you're ever up for it in the future, I would love to have you come back.
I would come back anytime.
But
I like you, and I
like you.
I care
too.
for you, and I hope you're doing okay.
I am.
Do you?
Sometimes
I've
are
never,
hard.
I've never seen you do a podcast that was this serious. Have you had?
Yeah.
You have?
Well, there's been serious ones in different ways. Yes.
Okay.
Something that this podcast has given me is the understanding that I have more value than just being funny. Now, I'm not saying that I have such a high value of being funny, or I don't. This isn't it's quite literally, and a lot of comedians I know are this way, where you always have to be on, you have to be funny, because if you're not funny, then you're boring. You're not what?
Always on anymore.
Right. I was always on, and I didn't know I was. I didn't know why I was, or that I even was. It was during this podcast where I was making some jokes in certain moments where I realized, I think it was during this podcast, I don't want to lie, maybe there was a nugget of this recognition, but really came in where...
My wife is calling. Hang on, let me take it. Hello? Hi, I'm still on the podcast, but I think are we almost finished?
10 more minutes?
He says 10 more minutes?
I could do 5.
5? Honey?
Yes?
You're on the podcast.
We could edit this out.
But where did you put, forget it, I found it.
Okay, good. I hit it good this time, didn't I?
You did. You hit it in the best place I could even...
I knew you were going to look there. Bye.
Have fun.
Bye. She doesn't know where I put it.
I'm going to not go into this, but basically, I don't need to be funny. I used to be funny in times because as a distraction to like making you take your shoes off and sit on the blanket and do all these things if I didn't make a joke out of it.
You know where I got comfortable? In my life, much later than you, in my 50s. And what happened was I was so depressed and I was leaving show business. And I felt like...
What depressed you?
Well, I had gone. I talked to you about. I had done St. Elsewhere. I had a series, and then I had HBO specials. And by 2005, I was now playing clubs that had were half full instead of theaters and amphitheaters and arenas.
Half full is an optimistic way of looking at it, though.
I see what you did there. And I was reading for 5 lines and under. I had a series. Now I was trying to get, auditions, and I was just getting kicked in the nuts. And to take you back to the circle of life, I had saved some money and invested well. So I said, I just can't, my ego just can't take this anymore. And I got a call from my manager, Michael Rotenberg, who said, NBC,
Deal or No Deal.
Yeah.
I watched it on Tiger Belly.
You told me once though too is that at first when Deal or No Deal was presented to you, you didn't really initially jump on it.
I said "fuck you" to the person who called.
I know.
Amazing
so you know the
episode.
story. I've told the
And
story.
also, I say that because if you want to, but I
No,
don't have time.
no.
But his Howie's Tiger Belly appearance from a month ago.
I've told it on mine too. Howie Mandel does stuff. You can watch.
You should watch it on Tiger Belly. No, I'm just kidding.
That's okay.
But that was a great story. You told it very well.
But
too.
the point was, without going into the whole story, Deal or No Deal was the first time I ever didn't do comedy. It was the first time I didn't do a scripted thing, and I was so embarrassed by the taping that I flew off out of
the country.
Yeah, just because I thought the ramifications were going to be horrible. And it turned out to be the best thing.
20 million over the week.
100 million over the week.
Oh, right. 20 million. I averaged 20 million a day because it was 5 days.
5 days. It was 100 million over the week. And the viewers.
And tell them what you asking your wife and hers is saying, no, it was good. I liked that part. You're like, but I wasn't funny. I didn't do anything.
I didn't do anything. It was the first
You thought
time.
you didn't do anything.
Well, I was just myself.
Right.
And I got to see a little bit of you here today. And I'm telling you that humanity, and I said that at the beginning of this thing, each of us, we could tell you about our problems, our rough edges, the things we're dealing with. But that's the beauty of us. That's why I hate school. School is trying to, we're all these gems. Human beings are gems. And we're mined with all these rough edges. And, we don't have to polish them. And we don't have to cut off those rough edges. You got to enjoy this for what it is. And there's other sides. And I'm willing to show somebody my rough side, my angry side, my funny side, my idiot side. That's what makes a human being, and I'm a human being. And when I want to do my art, I do my art. If you don't want to look at my picture and you don't want to see my art, you don't have to see my art if you don't want to laugh at it. And nighttime, as you said, is the worst time because that's the only time where I'm not doing anything. I'm not even discussing. I don't have anybody to talk to. I just have voices in my head, and it's like
more specifically, of you to talk to, I think, is the issue.
And I don't want to be with myself.
I want to force something at you for probably the third time this podcast with you saying there's all these different sides. There's this side, this side, this side. Remember? And my argument for you about going up on stage and not caring what the audience thinks, or as long as it's funny to me, is the antithesis of not showing those other sides. And part of our side is showing the audience why it's funny to you. You don't have to explain it to them. But letting them see through your eyes, I feel, is my next phase of this craft. I know this is funny. I
don't think in terms of funny.
I want to tell you 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to tell you a story that it means nothing to you, but it's a name drop to me. I don't mean it to be, but it's cool.
Yeah.
I did the show The Comedians with Josh Gad, Billy Crystal, and Larry Charles, and I went in, and at first Billy Crystal wasn't closed off to me, but you probably know him, right?
We're not friends,
okay.
But I mean, I know him.
I had never met somebody who I wasn't intimidated before I met him. I don't know if I've ever been intimidated. Sure, I have been. I can't think of it. He was the most intimidating person I've ever been around. Something about him, for whatever reason, and my projections, it was. We did a scene, we improvised, I talked to him before. There was a moment, and I remember exactly when it happened, he started looking at me differently. And he was not nicer, but collaborative, right? And then we did some more, and he had me come in for this thing, and then I ended up having just this meeting with him. It was one of the coolest things I've done, and this was before podcasts, before I was like having meetings with people. But I went in and I was having a conversation with him, and there was something about me like looking up to somebody and maybe confessing something, whatever it was. We got into a conversation about funny, and this was the first time I articulated to myself, and I said it to him too, which was, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to be believable. I care if I'm funny, but here's the only thing I need to do is be believable, and then funny. And he didn't not understand, but he like questioned it a little bit. He's like, no, you want to get laughs. He wasn't wrong. I wasn't wrong. Different priorities. But it was then that I realized, and I still agree, if it's not believable, it's not worth it.
It's not authentic.
But this being funny, I am trying to bring up more just based on the design of what I'm doing. It doesn't always have to on the
I'm
podcast.
not knocking that.
Okay. So I want to, yes. So you said it doesn't always have to be funny. When I'm doing a special, which is a goal of mine, I want to be funny. And I am. They just don't know it yet. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So how do I get them to know it without compromising myself? And that's what I mean.
Don't compromise yourself and don't compromise the people around you. Just do it. You know, that's Nike. But just do it. Do it. Just keep doing it. And more, you know, when you come on my podcast, a person that never saw you sees you. I have people that followed me, and it's by the same token, your people came over to my podcast and that never saw me. The more you do, the more people see you, and you can't control how much they like you or how much they laugh, but you'll grow that audience, and you grow that audience by just being open to make yourself uncomfortable and keep doing it. Take meetings with Billy Crystal. Like, come over and do my podcast.
And
Go
you
do
don't
Tiger
even,
Belly.
You don't even consider when you're alienating people, either being like, fuck it, that's who I am. But isn't there also well, I could learn something from this situation. I could broaden my awareness.
But maybe I never would. Fuck it. I don't want to hurt anybody.
Right.
What are you talking about? How would I hurt somebody?
I don't mean hurt somebody. Alienating people. Like just being like, oh, he's too aggressive, or he does too many jokes, or he's too weird.
I'm not. I don't. Except on AGT, I don't judge. If that's their. Are you worried about you being judged?
It's not a worry. It's just trying to be efficient. Like I said a few years ago, I've started. I don't have 37 years of recognizing.
But that's
these
what
things.
it takes.
I only have a few years of it.
So
I'm trying to learn.
So don't you think if you look at yourself today versus if you look at yourself 10 years ago, that's just going to keep going that way? Yeah. Just stay in the boat. Mm-hmm. Just keep paddling, and don't give up. Don't divert. You know, some of the funniest people I ever saw in my life, some of the most brilliant people I ever saw in my life, you will never know their name and you will never see them because most people just give up. Mm-hmm. They stop. It's hard. Life is hard. It's just hard. And they stop. So if you have the chutzpah to just keep going, and that's all they got to do. You just go for it. You just do it. You make it happen. I think everybody is where they need to be. Yeah. And everybody, they may not be where they want to be.
Yeah.
They're where they need to be. And I'm talking about, you know, fame, productivity, relationships. If you're willing to work, if you're willing to put in the work, and there's no difference in your career than your relationship, than your podcast, than how you are with your parents. We just decide we don't want to do it that way. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And whether it's your finances, if you want to do your investments like you're doing your investments, and I feel more comfortable here than I do in real estate. Whatever you do, that's what you achieve. You live in this apartment, which is a beautiful apartment. You live in this apartment because this is what you choose to do. If you want to live in a big house, you could do that too. You might have to work harder. You might be a little more uncomfortable. You might not have the savings you have, but you could do that. But that's whatever. That doesn't mean it's better. All I'm saying is that we do, and if this is too much for you and you want to give up comedy, you'll give up comedy. I know a lot of people did that. You always say I watch in music, you know, how come they're not writing songs anymore? How come they're not putting out albums anymore? It's hard. Yeah. It's hard to put yourself out there, to be judged, to look at the rankings, the sales, that's why people just stop. They just stop.
If you come back, and I want to acknowledge this, one of the things I really wanted to talk to you about, which we touched on your podcast, and it so ties into everything we're talking about, is you being a judge on America's Got Talent when comedians come out. There's an odd dynamic when people are auditioning, specifically stand-up comedians, because, ladies and gentlemen, Howie Mandel, you walk out and you control the room in a show. How's everybody doing? If that's what, you know, if you want to ask how they're doing or whatever your thing might be.
Right.
But comics, they have to come out, and whatever their comedian energy is, they don't get to be that first. First, they have to be like, hey, like I'm Rick and I'm doing this for my family because I haven't seen them in years, and whatever the thing might be, and then like you kind of empathize and you feel for their story, and then they have to go right into it.
Right.
And I feel that's got to be so challenging. And judges, at least you acknowledge it maybe, but you often talk about that kind of stuff.
Right.
Like not just the act, but the act in this environment, whatever it might be.
Right.
And the idea of them coming out, and we talked about this briefly on Howie's podcast, of them coming out and not starting their act right away.
So let's talk about that next time. At least I have something to talk about.
Yeah, but that very much ties into just that commitment level and the understanding of the craft. Also, before you go, I do have a surprise for you.
Okay.
Bobby Jenerick.
Oh my gosh. Oh my.
Sorry.
I haven't seen.
It's good to see you too, Howie.
I haven't seen. What have you been doing?
Nothing.
What's he paying you to be here?
Nothing.
Rick, this is. How did you meet Rick?
I saw Rick at Whole Foods. I like to squeeze the melons. I have a lot of time to squeeze the melons now.
Rick, I can't thank you.
Yeah, it's
Fuck you, Rick!
It's getting expensive, Bobby, so thank you for coming in over.
You mean that's it?
Bye.
Whoa!
Fucking loser!
Rick, you're a nut.
All right, I'll see you in a little bit, Bob. Wow. Yeah, isn't
Rick,
that cool?
This is unbelievable.
I saw him a few days after I was at Whole Foods. I saw him a few days after I did your podcast, and I asked him to do this, and he's been waiting for a bit, so I just thought that would be cool to see him.
It was so cool. Well, Rick, this has been terrific.
All right. Thanks for coming over.
Thank you.
Scoot theme song. Great.
Thank you so much. I love it. Does it look good? Does it look good?
You look like a slightly older Justin Bieber.
Wow. Thank you. This has been a wonderful time.
It has. Thank you, Howie.
Bye.
Bobby's coming.
Scoop D. Oh yeah.